this video, we're going to work out an unknown angle in a right angled triangle using trigonometry. And it starts very similar to finding an unknown side by labeling the sides that we know as opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse, and ignoring that side that is not important for us. In this case, we know the hypotenuse is 26, and this side 17 is our adjacent side. We leave that third side blank because it doesn't have any values on it. Once again, we use SOHCAHTOA to decide which trigonometric ratio we will be using. We have adjacent and hypotenuse, and that's the part of our mnemonic, and so we will use the cosine ratio. And this is where things change a little bit when we choose which ratio to write. Because we're trying to find an angle and kind of work backwards with our trig functions, we need to use the inverse trigonometric ratios. Inverse meaning opposite. The same way that multiplication and division are opposites, and addition and subtraction are opposites, sine, cosine, and tangent have opposites as well, or inverses. And they're just called the inverse sine function, the inverse cosine function, and the inverse tangent function. And that's written with this little -1. Sin -1 is the inverse sine function, and so on. We've decided we need to use cosine, so we're using the inverse cosine function here. We start by writing that ratio. Theta equals cos -1 of the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And this is the inverse function that we're using. We then substitute our values in for the sides. Theta is cos -1, the inverse cosine function of our adjacent side, is 17, over our hypotenuse, which is 26. Now we're ready to put this into our calculator to calculate the size of that unknown angle. The way we do that is by using the shift function on the calculator. So you will press shift and then cosine, and that's how we access this inverse cosine function. So shift cos, and then you type in 17 over 26, 17 over 26. And that tells us that the angle, the unknown angle, is 49.2 degrees.